So I think it pretty much goes without saying, at least defensively, the Kraken definitely need to figure out how to clean some things up for the next game coming up here on Friday. As in this one, they'll be playing the Edmonton Oilers, a team who have at least two players I think most people know will happily take advantage of too much space if it's afforded to them in the defensive end. The Kraken play the way they did for large periods of this game against Connor McDavid. He's going to have a game. What's cracking, everybody, and welcome back to Kraken R&R, where the Seattle Kraken still have yet to realize the holiday break is over. Instead of playing really any kind of defensive structure, much less the defensive structure that's gotten them to where they're at this point in the season, they decide to play exactly the style of hockey that the Oilers like to play, where nobody plays any defense, and you just trade rush chances back either way. And of course, it goes about how you would expect, with the Oilers winning 7-2. And I do genuinely mean that nobody was bothering to play any defense. Now, this is kind of the style of hockey we've come to expect from the Oilers over the last few years, and it's part of the reason that they've had trouble in the playoffs outside of last season, but even there, they kind of just got away with it. From the Kraken, though, it's not a style of hockey that we're really used to from them, or at least not when they're winning anyway. And it's certainly not a style of hockey that they can particularly get away with. Because the big difference in this game is that while the Kraken did get their fair share of scoring opportunities and honestly had enough good scoring opportunities to score 6 or 7 themselves, well, for one, they kind of had trouble hitting an empty net or a largely empty net in this game. And for another, the bigger difference is Connor McDavid. And when you decide to play sloppy in the defensive end and allow the Oilers to open up the ice so McDavid can have more space, he's going to make you pay for it just like that. Now, sure, he only gets 1 goal out of those 5 points, and it's the 7th goal for the Oilers, so it hardly matters at that point in the game. But he did have 4 assists, and I'm pretty sure that all 4 of them were primary assists. So even if he wasn't getting the chances and the Kraken were doing the best to double team him and shut him down, he was making sure that his teammates were getting those chances. I mean, really, the only part of that clip from the Flames game that wasn't true in this one is that the Oilers didn't have 2 players that could make the Kraken pay, or the main 2 anyway, as Draisaitl was a scratch in this game. For the Kraken, the lineup was pretty much the same, or at least it started that way, but as the game went along, not only did it not matter that Draisaitl wasn't there apparently, it didn't really matter that the Kraken were putting out the same lineup, as it changed pretty drastically after the first few minutes. Now, I will say that on the optimistic or glass half full side of things, if you ignore the first 10 or so minutes of this game, it was actually a pretty close game, and the Kraken may have gotten the better of the scoring opportunities. Actually, I would say it's fairly safe they did. Not to say that they played a great game past the first 10 minutes, they still really weren't playing much defense, but at least offensively, they were definitely creating those chances. Just not getting enough of them to go. But unfortunately, also, the first 10 minutes of the game did happen. After which, it was already 4-0 Oilers. In fact, even worse than that, less than 4 minutes into the game, it's already 3-0 Oilers, at which point Grubauer ends up getting pulled. Now, I know everyone's going to try and pin this game on Grubauer because he does let in 3 goals on the first 5 shots of the game, which, no matter how you cut it, isn't great. But if we look at these first 4 goals from the Oilers, including the first one that Jones lets in, I'm going to show you a series of 3 screenshots here that are the first, second, and 4th goals the Oilers score, and let's just see if you can find any similarities between these 3 goals. Here's the first one that admittedly does come on a power play, but just a few seconds into an Oilers power play at 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Then back at 5-on-5, here's the second one that happens about 30 seconds later. And then here's the 4th Oilers goal after the 3rd one. Admittedly, Grubauer does kind of let in one that he probably should have saved. Now, did you happen to notice the similarities or theme with these 3 goals? I'll give you a hint, it has to do with what we talked about at the beginning. That's right, no defense whatsoever. All 3 goals come with a Oilers player wide open somewhere out next to or in front of the net, with all of the Kraken defense off to the side, just completely ignoring the fact that they're leaving their goaltender one-on-one with an opposing player. And in all 3 cases, the puck ends up to that player and into the back of the net before anyone can respond or the goaltender really has much of a chance. Again, the first 2 are Grubauer getting left hung out to dry, with the first one again being on the power play, Hyman sitting next to the net, and all McDavid has to do with all 4 players paying attention to him is get the puck through all of them, bank it off Hyman's stick, and into the back of the net. The second one, McDavid's not even out on the ice, and the Kraken, I guess, must have thought, oh, well, if McDavid's not here, then there's no way they can score on us. As they let, I don't know even who it was, somebody that I haven't heard the name of that much before now, that they let wide open in front of the net. And it turns out NHL players, regardless of who it is, are going to find the back of the net pretty frequently when you let them get one-on-one with a goaltender out in front of the net like that. And then the third one, yes, this one does also come on an open shot on a 3-on-2 rush, but Grubauer sees it coming all the way and probably should have still had the save here. Not that it's an easy save necessarily, but it's one you'd like to see your goaltender come up with. At which point, 4 minutes into the game, the Kraken call their timeout, so I guess at least they're using it before the last 19 seconds. Grubauer gets pulled, Jones goes in, and a few minutes later, he gets left hung out to dry, as once again it's McDavid with the puck behind the net. He gets it out in front, or actually to be fair, I think it's somewhat of an unfortunate bounce as it goes off Benir's skate out in front of the net. Either way, it doesn't matter how it gets there because the only player in front of the Kraken net is Jesse Puljujarvi. Without another Kraken player within the same zip code and with all the time in the world he wants, he puts it into the back of the net again to make it 4-0 Oilers, again, less than 10 minutes into the game. So there you go, 3 complete defensive breakdowns, 3 guys left completely wide open next to or in front of the net, and 1 3-on-2 breakaway, all 4 of which find the back of the net. And the Oilers have that 4-0 lead. And not only that, but with the Oilers being able to open up the ice, McDavid has 3 points with 3 assists on those 4 goals. Who could have seen that coming? The Kraken play the way they did for large periods of this game against Connor McDavid. He's going to have a game. Oh, that's right. Everybody. Now, at this point, the Kraken do kind of start to calm things down really for the rest of the game. And actually over the next 50 minutes, they do get the better of the opportunities and certainly the majority of the opportunities throughout the rest of the game. And with there still being 50 minutes left, while it's unlikely being down 4-0, there still is a chance they could get back into this one, again, with it being the Oilers, who, while they score goals in bunches, have been known to give them up in bunches as well. And they really did try with the way they were playing defensively to do so. The Kraken do get a power play just after the midway point of the first period, which they get a few chances on, but don't end up scoring. And we do get to the first intermission with the score still 4-0. And the more time that goes by, the less and less likely that a comeback could happen. Fortunately, to start out the second period, the Kraken get the first one back on the board, and wouldn't you know it, it comes on a 2-on-1 rush. Geekie gets it across to Sprong, Sprong fires off a shot, and it squeaks through the armpit of Skinner into the back of the net to get the Kraken at least on the board and break up the shutout. With the goal, it is Sprong's 11th on the season and 20th point of the season as he and Donato both continue to be hot, which does make it harder to get Tolvanen into the lineup as the two of them would be the most likely to get scratched to get Tolvanen in. That having been said, with an ugly game like this one, I wouldn't be surprised if they mix things up and find a way to get Tolvanen in the next one. Either way, the two of them continue to play well enough that it's hard to take them out of the lineup. Still, it's a long uphill battle for the Kraken. It's only going to get even longer as the next 2 goals are goals for the Oilers. First of the 2 comes off of a shot from the blue line that gets tipped nicely in front of the net, right through the 5-hole of Jones and into the back of it. One that, again, maybe you'd like to see Jones come up with a save on. Actually, yeah, you definitely would like to see Jones come up with a save on. It's worth mentioning that Jones came up with some big saves in this game, and it was kind of a nice tip that got it through the 5-hole in the first place. So the Kraken give that goal right back, and then send the Oilers to their second power play against a Kraken penalty kill unit that has been really hit or miss this season, mostly miss, and against a power play unit that features Connor McDavid. Well, I think we all know where this is going. That having been said, it would be kind of nice, even if we kind of expect a goal to happen, if it didn't happen in exactly the same way the first one happened. Look, I get that McDavid's hard to stop, especially when he has extra time and space like he's going to have on the power play. But again, you might try to stop exactly the same play from scoring that scored on their first chance on the power play. It's literally the exact same thing as McDavid has the puck on the right side of the net, or I guess left side from Jones's perspective, and he passes it down to the other side, where once again, it's Hyman standing next to the net unchecked with his stick on the ice, and all he has to do is literally stand there. McDavid puts it off of his stick and into the net. Sure, it's Hyman's second goal of the game, but it's basically the second goal for McDavid, just banking it off of the stick that's put on the ice for him to shoot off of. So now it's 6-1, and yeah, at this point, the game's pretty much out of reach. The rest of the way, the Kraken do get a number of very good scoring opportunities, one of which comes just a few seconds later, as Larson fires off a shot that gets through Skinner and right out in front of the net, but the Kraken just can't get to it first. That one gets cleared out, but the Kraken stay in the offensive zone. Another puck gets to the net, and this time Tanev's able to poke it in to get another goal. It's 6-2, and while it's great that the Kraken have pulled to within 4 now, it's still going to be a long road back with just half of the game left, and of course, they aren't able to do it. The only other goal that ends up getting scored, even with a number of Kraken chances, including another power play, which actually McDavid ends up getting a shorthanded breakaway on, that's saved by Jones, including another very nice save on a 3-on-1 opportunity the Oilers had. Either way, the only other goal that ends up getting scored is one midway through the third period, where McDavid just kind of gets into the offensive zone, gets off a shot right before he's going to get stopped, and it finds its way through Jones, one that Jones definitely has to come up with a save on. Of course, I say he has to come up with a save. It doesn't matter at this point in the game, as it's still 6-2 halfway through the third, this making it 7-2. Still a soft goal here that Jones allows in. And yeah, a disappointing game from the Kraken, really in all aspects defensively, both goaltending and any kind of defensive structure, or again, lack thereof. And so there you have it. Honestly, I don't know what more to say about this game. It's just another incredibly sloppily played game by the Kraken in the defensive end. This time with a player like McDavid that can take advantage of just about every mistake when he's out on the ice. He does so, gets 5 points in the game, and sure, it's somewhat close if you take away those 5 points, just a 2-2 game outside of what McDavid's able to do. And yeah, the Kraken were able to get their fair share of scoring opportunities themselves, but really didn't have a very good night as far as shooting at an empty net or a net with a lot of empty space. Beniers had a couple of very good setups that the shots ended up going wide. Tanev had a couple of shots where he had a lot of empty net and also put those either wide or high. And really, the best shot of the night for the Kraken wasn't a shot at all. It was a punch landed by Dunn that really got things going for the Kraken there at the beginning of the second period. As Dunn, who, let's be honest, knowing Dunn, was probably looking for that fight, finds it early in the second period to get the juices flowing on the Kraken bench a bit, and lands a beauty of a right hook that took the other guy to the ice. An easy one fight for Dunn. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. And as far as getting the Kraken back into the game, at least a little bit, it seemed to work, as again, they scored right after that. But of course, then they collapse and allow those 2 goals to make it 6-1. So if it mattered, it didn't matter for very long. As far as any stars are concerned to this game for the Kraken, weirdly enough, I think there's 2 guys that are deserving mentioning here. Certainly not a third, but both Sprong and Tanev. Tanev probably getting the first, Sprong getting the second. Yes, it might seem like a bit of a cop-out since they're the 2 guys that score goals, but honestly, I thought the 2 of them played pretty well even outside of the goals they scored, especially Tanev. So it's worth mentioning here, though it's pretty faint praise in a 7-2 loss. So with that having been said, I, again, don't really know what else there is more to say about this game. I kind of just want to move on from it. And hopefully the Kraken can too, and move on to actually playing defense once again, and find a way to realize that this Christmas break has actually come to an end. It came to an end a while ago, but again, it doesn't seem like they've realized that. Anyway, let me know what you think of this game down in the comment section below, if there's any other stars you would give out. And until next time, when the Kraken play the Islanders at home and hopefully play a bit better, stay safe out there, be good to each other, God bless, and go Kraken.